Hey, good morning, y'all. Thank you for tapping in for some real talk from the heart this morning. These are daily Bible devotions, Genesis through Revelation. Hopping on here every morning and sharing a takeaway from my morning reading. And this morning's devotion, this morning's real talk is from Chronicles chapter 5, verses 20 through 25. And I'm mainly going to focus on verses 20, 22, and 25. So let me get into this. And it says, "And they were helped against them, and the Hagarites were delivered into their hand, and all who were with them. For they cried out to God in the battle. He heeded their prayer because they put their trust in him." This is in reference to the Reubenites and the Gadites and half the tribe of Manasseh, those that chose to settle on the east side of the Jordan. And God has told them, before you guys can settle, you got to help your brothers out, help them get their lot. And so that's the background to this. But I want to get into this real talk this morning because I want to share with you just some encouraging words, man, something that I hopefully encourage you this morning, because, man, life is a battle, man. And when you are trying to lay hold of what God has given to you, right, trying to gain what it is that God would have you to gain, it's going to come with battle. And here you see it, man. To lay hold of that is a battle. Gaining ground spiritually, right? This is really the takeaway for me this morning is when you and I are going to advance and grow spiritually. If we're going to gain ground spiritually, man, it's going to come with some battles, because the enemy is not just going to sit back and let us grow closer to God, grow in our intimacy with God, grow in the knowledge of God. He's going to do everything he can to come against us. And so there are going to be battles, man. There are going to be battles in this Christian life. And listen, let's just be frank, man. There's battles in life, just period, man. In general, we have our battles, whether it's in our health, whether it's in our marriages, parenting, our finances, relationships, family relationships, work relationships. There's going to be battles, man. Battles are a part of life. But the question is who or what are we turning to for help? And where do we find help in the battle? God's people here in this story here that we're reading in Chronicles 5 is, man, they look to the Lord. It says they were helped. And it says the reason why. It says, for they cried out to God. You see, Psalm 46 verse 1 says that the Lord is an ever-present help in time of need. In Hebrews 4:16 it says, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may, have mercy and find grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace in the time of need. We can go to the Lord, beloved. We can go to the Lord in the midst of the battle, and he is there for us. Here it says they cried out. I love it, man. For they cried out to God in the battle, man. That phrase right there gets me this morning. For they cried out to God in the battle. There's a huge difference between crying out and crying around. Sometimes when we find ourselves in the midst of the battle, we can kind of just cry around about it, just kind of cry around. That doesn't get us nowhere. Man, we need to be crying out to God, man, pleading with the Lord. Lord, I need you. Lord, please, help me in this. Help me in this situation. Help me in this battle that I'm facing, this battle that I'm enduring right now. And the Lord will come through. How do you know? Because look what it says. It says he heeded their prayer. He heeded their prayer. So are you crying out to God, man? Are you praying in the midst of the battle? It says because they put their trust in him. Beloved, are we trusting him? Are we trusting him to come through? In self-sufficiency, man, we get ourselves into a lot of problems, a lot of distress, man. There's a lot of distress that comes with just relying upon ourselves to get through these things. And it says, man, the Lord knows those who are trusting him. It says because they put their trust in him, he came through. When you get to verse 22, it says that many were, dealt with in the battle. And it says this, because the war was God's. The war was God's war. And I hope that you and I will see what we're going through in that light. That God has brought us, man, thus far. And he's not going to leave us. And the thing that we're going through, God is very much involved in it. But when we take matters into our own hands, we only make things worse. And so it's best just to trust God and see it from that perspective that, hey, this is God's battle. This is God's war. He's going to come through. I know he is. But listen, I want you to see it, verse 25. Because in verse 25, these same people, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half the tribe of Manasseh, after God brought the victory, what happened was they became unfaithful. They became unfaithful. Verse 25 says they played the harlot. They played the harlot with the gods of the nations around them, right? They basically joined the pagans in the idolatry and the immorality. And what happened was they were taken away. They were taken away captive by the Assyrians. And so what that teaches me this morning, beloved, is that unfaithfulness leads to defeat. Compromise is self-sabotage in the battle. We're only sabotaging ourselves when we begin to cooperate with Satan, because that's what compromise is. But there is help in the battle. There is help in the battle. And that help comes from the Lord. But what do you and I need to do? Listen, we need to live prayerfully. Live prayerfully, man. Live in the attitude of prayer, man. Live with that just essence of prayer, man. We're just like breath. Inhale and exhale. We're just living prayer, man. We acknowledge God in all our ways. Why? Because he is that ever-present help. But listen, not only do we live prayerfully, but we live faithfully. Right? We don't turn aside to unfaithful living, to compromising, because then that sabotages ourselves in this battle. And man, again, life is a battle, man. Life is a battle. And if we're going to have victory in this thing, we cannot compromise, man. We've got to stay disciplined. Right? We've got to stay disciplined. If we become undisciplined and we lack self-control, we're only inviting defeat. But listen, there's help in the battle. Hey, the Lord loves you. I love you too. Praying for you. And I'm praying that you will cry out to God in the battle. I don't know what you're facing today. I don't know what you're going through. But I pray that you will not cry around, but you will cry out to him. And he will heed your prayer. And because you trust in him, he will bring the victory. I'm praying for that today. God bless you guys, man. I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow.